In the vast tapestry of history, there are moments when a single individual's rise marks the turning point for an entire civilization. In the early 2nd century AD, the Roman Empire stood at such a crossroads, stretching across continents, commanding the wealth of nations, and maintaining peace over a sprawling domain. Rome sought stability and strength. It was in this age, from the frontiers of Iberia to the heart of the Eternal City, that a man emerged who would forever change the destiny of Rome. His name was Marcus Ulpius Traianus, Trajan, the Optimus Princeps, the greatest conqueror the empire had ever known, and the emperor who would lead Rome to its absolute zenith. Trajan was born in 53 AD in the Roman province of Hispania Baetica, in what is now southern Spain. Unlike his predecessors, whose roots lay deep in the ancient aristocracy of Italy, Trajan's origins were provincial. This distinct beginning set him apart, and would ultimately define his reign. His family, though not of the oldest nobility, was respected and prominent, having served Rome with loyalty and distinction. From an early age, Trajan was immersed in the values of Roman discipline, resilience, and service to the state. The Rome into which Trajan was born was a colossus bestriding the Mediterranean world. By the 1st and 2nd centuries AD, the empire had unified the ancient world's greatest civilizations under the banner of Pax Romana, the Roman peace. Roads, aqueducts, and commerce bound together peoples from distant corners, from the misty isles of Britain to the deserts of Egypt. Yet beneath the apparent tranquility, Rome was often riven by political intrigue and the ambitions of powerful men. Trajan's rise to power was neither sudden nor accidental. He distinguished himself first as a soldier, earning the respect of his peers and superiors for his bravery and tactical acumen. His military service took him to the furthest frontiers of the empire, where he learned firsthand the challenges and opportunities facing Rome. His reputation for integrity and competence brought him to the attention of Emperor Nerva, who, in the twilight of his rule, faced the daunting task of ensuring stability after a period of unrest and uncertainty. Recognizing Trajan's abilities, Nerva adopted him as his son and heir, a move that won the loyalty of the army and the Senate alike. When Nerva died in 98 AD, Trajan ascended the throne, not as a usurper, but as the rightful and widely acclaimed leader of Rome. He was the first emperor born outside Italy, a symbol of the empire's growing cosmopolitan character, and a testament to the power of merit over mere birthright. Trajan's reign would become synonymous with Rome's golden age. His vision was clear: to strengthen the empire, expand its borders, and ensure prosperity for its people. He was guided not by personal ambition alone, but by a profound sense of duty, a belief that Rome's greatness must be preserved and extended for future generations. One of the defining features of Trajan's rule was his relentless drive for conquest. Nowhere was this more evident than in his campaigns against Dacia, a kingdom located north of the Danube River in present-day Romania. The Dacians, led by the formidable king Decebalus, had long been a thorn in Rome's side, their raids threatening the security of the empire's borders. But more than security was at stake. Dacia was renowned for its immense wealth, particularly its gold mines, which beckoned as both a solution to Rome's financial needs and a prize worthy of imperial ambition. The Dacian Wars began in 101 AD and would rage for several years. Trajan proved himself a master strategist, meticulously planning his campaigns and inspiring his troops with his presence on the front lines. The fighting was brutal and intense, with both sides displaying remarkable tenacity. But ultimately, Trajan's leadership and the discipline of the Roman legions prevailed. In 106 AD, Dacia fell. King Decebalus took his own life rather than be paraded in a Roman triumph. The spoils of victory were immense. An estimated 165,000 kilograms of gold poured into Rome's coffers, revitalizing the empire's treasury. To commemorate this momentous triumph, Trajan commissioned one of the most iconic monuments of ancient Rome, the Column of Trajan. Rising 38 meters above the Forum, its spiral bas-reliefs depicted in vivid detail the story of the Dacian campaigns. immortalizing the valor of Rome's soldiers and the glory of their emperor. To this day, the column stands as a testament to Trajan's achievements and the artistry of Roman civilization. Flush with victory, Trajan turned his gaze eastward. The Parthian Empire, Rome's ancient rival, controlled the lands of Iran and Iraq, and for centuries the two superpowers had vied for dominance in the region. In 114 AD, Trajan launched his Eastern campaign, a bold and daring effort to secure Rome's frontiers and assert its supremacy. The initial successes were staggering. Armenia, long a buffer state between Rome and Parthia, was annexed. The Roman legions swept through Mesopotamia, capturing key cities and reaching as far as the shores of the Persian Gulf. For a brief, shining moment, the Roman Empire stood at its greatest extent. From the windswept highlands of Scotland to the sun-baked sands of Sudan, from the Atlantic shores of Portugal to the fertile valleys of Iraq, Rome reigned supreme over a domain of nearly 5 million square kilometers and a population of more than 65 million souls. No empire before or since had so fully encompassed the heartland of the ancient world. Yet Trajan was more than a conqueror. He understood that the true strength of an empire lay not just in its armies, but in the well-being of its people and the prosperity of its provinces. The gold of Dacia was not squandered on vanity, but invested in the fabric of Roman society. Under Trajan's direction, roads and bridges spanned rivers. Aqueducts brought fresh water to distant cities, and massive public works transformed the urban landscape. Perhaps nowhere was Trajan's vision more evident than in his monumental building projects. The Forum of Trajan, designed by the genius architect Apollodorus of Damascus, was a marvel of ancient engineering, a vast complex of libraries, markets, temples, and open spaces, where the citizens of Rome gathered to conduct business, debate politics, and celebrate their shared heritage. It was a city within a city, a living symbol of Roman order and grandeur. The Column of Trajan, with its intricate carvings and towering presence, told not just the story of war, but of peace, the peace that came from unity, strength, and enlightened rule. The bridge Trajan built across the Danube, long considered a wonder of the ancient world, connected peoples and provinces, facilitating trade, communication, and military movement. But Trajan's legacy was not confined to stone and mortar. He was deeply committed to the welfare of his subjects. The Alimenta, a groundbreaking social welfare program, provided support for orphans and poor children throughout Italy, offering loans to landowners in exchange for commitments to care for the most vulnerable. It was an early recognition that the health of the empire depended on the health of its people. Education flourished under Trajan's patronage, and the arts reached new heights. He was a leader who walked among his soldiers, who listened to the grievances of his citizens, and who sought to govern with justice and humility. The Senate, long overshadowed by imperial power, found a new voice under his rule, as Trajan respected its traditions and involved it in the governance of the empire. For all his achievements, Trajan remained remarkably unpretentious. He was known for his simplicity, his accessibility, and his willingness to share in the hardships of his troops. He embodied the ideal of the soldier emperor, combining martial prowess with civic virtue. His contemporaries called him Optimus Princeps, the best of princes, not merely for his victories, but for his character. Trajan's policies at home were marked by prudence and a spirit of reform. He strengthened the legal system, clarified laws, and worked tirelessly to ensure that justice was administered fairly and efficiently. He invested in the provinces, encouraging the spread of Roman culture and infrastructure, and sought to integrate the diverse peoples of the empire into a single, cohesive whole. Yet, like all great leaders, Trajan was not without his challenges. The vastness of the empire brought with it immense logistical and administrative burdens. The conquests in the east, though dazzling, proved difficult to hold in the long term. Nevertheless, Trajan's ability to balance expansion with stability set a standard for his successors. When Trajan fell ill in 117 AD, he was far from Rome, in the city of Selinus in Asia Minor, modern-day Turkey. Death came as he journeyed home, and with his passing, an era closed. His adoptive son, Hadrian, would inherit an empire that stood at the pinnacle of its power, a legacy built on conquest, but sustained by wise governance and a vision for the common good. Trajan's impact on history was profound and enduring. Later generations looked back on his reign as a golden age, an ideal to which all rulers might aspire. In the centuries that followed, new emperors were greeted with the blessing, "May you be luckier than Augustus and better than Trajan." It was the highest praise imaginable, a recognition that Trajan's blend of military genius, civic virtue, and humanity had set a standard seldom equaled. Trajan's influence extended far beyond the borders of Rome. His example shaped the ideals of leadership in Western civilization, inspiring monarchs, generals, and statesmen down through the ages. His life was a testament to the possibilities of merit, the value of discipline, and the importance of balancing ambition with compassion. The monuments he left behind, Forum, Column, Bridge, still stand as silent witnesses to a time when Rome ruled the world, and a man from distant Spain sat on the throne of the Caesars. They remind us that greatness is not measured solely by the lands one conquers, but by the legacy one leaves for posterity. As we reflect on the age of Trajan, we are reminded of the lessons his life imparts, that true leadership demands courage, wisdom, and empathy, that the glory of empire must be matched by the welfare of its people, and that the most enduring monuments are those built in the hearts and minds of citizens. In the end, Trajan's story is not just the tale of an emperor, but of an empire at the height of its power and promise, a beacon of civilization in a turbulent world. His reign invites us to consider the meaning of greatness, the responsibilities of authority, and the possibilities of enlightened rule. So, as we look upon the map of the ancient world, tracing the borders that Trajan once commanded, and as we gaze upon the ruins that still bear his name, we remember a man who changed the course of history, a soldier, a statesman, a builder, and above all, a leader whose example endures to this day. His legacy is captured in the words of those who followed, "May you be better than Trajan." For in striving to match his virtues, we honor not only the memory of a great emperor, but the timeless ideals of leadership and service that he so nobly embodied.